This is going to be a story time with Mama Liz. And y'all are propped up on my rooster basket and this is his tail, so you know something, just ignore it. Many of y'all know that I used to be a parole officer before my health tanked and I became disabled. And I loved my job because I met a lot of people. And I hated my job because I had to deal with a lot of people that really did not want to be dealt with. But I loved my job when I found those little people that wanted to succeed and wanted to better themselves and wanted to shine. Buddy, I helped them shine. I was so proud of the ones that came out, were willing to work and create a better life. I love them all. Lots of them still keep in touch with me, and to be quite honest, when I am sick or when people know that I am having a bad spell, I have more ex-convicts call and check on me than I do actual people. That should tell you something. It says a lot about society right now. Anyway, I was like a 6-year vet parole officer at the time, and I had been tagged and told that someone was coming in that was very hostile, very aggressive. Let me move my chair. Ugh. Hostile, aggressive, dangerous, violent, and that I needed to be careful. But because I worked so well with violent and aggressive men, they wanted me to take this offender. Okay, fine. I don't mind. I do really well with violent men. That's a backstory all on its own. But anyway, so I take the offender. He walks in, and I have done my background on him already. Now, I don't like to have any kind of, you know, presupposed thought about these people, because lots of times the black and white that you see on the paper is not actually the individual that you meet. It's a set of circumstances that they were thrown into that they did not handle well, but it's not really the person you meet. So I always kind of like normally let them go through their history with me, but because of his history and everybody had warned me, you know, he's so aggressive, I did my background. And I found out that he was an ex-Marine. And I just all of a sudden started having some issues. And he came in, and he was big, and he was so built. He was so built he had no neck. And I thought, I'm going to have to push his buttons. I'm going to have to see if he really is hostile, because I have to do alone time with this person. I have to do home visits. I have to be on their property, in their home, in dangerous positions with these people. So I need to know their buttons. I need to find them out in a safe place, which is my office with, you know, security and everything around. So I thought, I'll push his buttons. Well, he brought a friend in with him, and the friend had like dark hair with a dark beard, very tan, with gold chains and hair sticking out of his unbuttoned shirt. He looked very much like a Grecian goddess, or like goddess god, or you get so mad if you knew I said that, or somebody that you'd see on the Jersey Shore back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so I looked at him and I was like, who's your buddy? It's like, oh, he gave me a ride up here today. And I was like, well, since you're the transportation, you know, you can be here, but I'm just going to say, normally we only let you in here to see me because we don't like multiple people in here. This is your business and nobody else's, and we like to keep it that way. And he was like, no, I understand, that's fine. And so he walks up to the desk and he sits down, and I said, how did you fit through the door? Do you like fold up? Are you like a compact car or something? He kind of giggled. And I said, do you have a neck? And he lowered his shoulders, and he did. He had a neck. I said, there you are. I said, is that like, you know, like a natural stance, or, you know, like if you have, you know, if you get angrier, does the higher the shoulders get? And he started laughing. And I was really trying, like, normally you can ask these questions, and if they really have an aggressive tendency, it will really tick them off. At some point when you ask them something, it will really tick them off. I picked on him and picked on him. And finally I said, your friend, I said, y'all look like a pair that come off the Jersey Shore. I said, I swear I could just put you in an MTV sitcom right now. You would fit perfectly. And he just kind of giggled. He said, you have a sense of humor, don't you? And I said, yeah, well, you got to have one in this job. And he goes, well, good, I have a sense of humor too. And I said, I swear, I just look at you and I want to go, GTL, baby, Gym, Tan, and Laundry. Because back in the day, you know, that was a big show. And he absolutely doubled over laughing, and his friend about fell out of his chair laughing. And I said, I don't mean to offend. I said, you just really profile like that. And he's like, no, I get it a lot. It's okay. And so we talked. We had to do intake, which is about an hour-long process. Got to know him. I really found no buttons that I could push. So after a few months of working with this young man, I deduced that it was due to trauma from service and trying to handle that trauma. And by handling that trauma, he got into altercations and issues that led him down this path. He just needed some structure and somebody to believe in him again. And sure enough, with a little bit of structure, a little bit of TLC, a little bit of don't you do that, don't you do that, and somebody to, you know, call when he was really struggling, he started to just absolutely change and shine again, like the person he was when he was in the military and a Marine, and was proud of himself. And I had him on my caseload for a few years. It was a few to several by the time that I had to retire due to my health. And I had a lot of parolees absolutely reject the idea that I was going to be leaving. And it made me sad because I felt bad that I was going to be leaving them. But it also made me happy to know that I had changed their lives enough to where they trusted me and felt that I was compatible to come out and try to do this job. Because, you know something, changing your life is a job. It's work. It's hard work. And people they're not really nice enough. If you don't know what they go through, you don't know how hard it is to meet all the requirements of supervision, you don't know how much work it is. It's a job. And so years and years later, a friend actually flew in to spend a week with me, and I told her that story, and she was like, well, I wonder where he is now. And I said, actually, he messaged me the other day on Facebook and asked me how I was. I said, let's call him. She goes, you can just call him. I said, I'm sure he'll answer. He knows it's me. I'm sure he'll answer. So I had, in the moment when I told her that story, had dug down my pocketbook, and one day when I was shopping, I had found this pen at Walgreens. And when you pushed it, it said Jim Tanner Laundry, GTL, baby, which I thought was hilarious. The moment I picked it up at Walgreens, I took out my supervisory phone, called him at home. He answered. I said, guess what I just found? I pushed the button. He died laughing. So here I go. Years later, I push send on a Facebook call. And he answers. He goes, yes, yes, yes. What's up? What's wrong? What's wrong? I was like, nothing's wrong. Why would it be wrong? He's like, well, every time you call me, I just think something's wrong. I'm like, nothing's wrong. I was like, I'm just calling because you messaged to check in, and I wanted to check with you, and I wanted to tell you what I found. And I pushed that pin button, and he died laughing. He said, I swear I need royalties from that show. And I said, I think you do, actually. And he's like, how are you doing? I'm like, you know, I'm kicking, I'm fighting this, I'm good. And he's like, man, we miss you. You know, you were so helpful. We just, you know, we all care for you. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. You know, I didn't make everybody happy. I had some people who didn't like me, but most people, if they worked hard, I would lay right in there and work with you. I'd hitch the plow to myself and try to help you down that road. And he was like, you know, we miss you so much. You know that you are much loved in our community. And I said, you know, I know it. I said, y'all are good people. And I said, to be quite honest, I would trust most of my caseload before I would most of my management. Not lying. And I kept up with him. He had a new baby on the way. I was so ecstatic to see his life going so well. His community actually had a recent flood, and he had pulled a dinghy wading through chest-deep water to take everyone safely out of his neighborhood. That's the kind of person this was at the core. That's the man who this was. That was really him, not the issues he had had, not the trauma he had had. And then I get a call one day from his wife, and it was a little over a year ago. And he lived on acreage that was very near train tracks, and she doesn't know if he was trying to see if the flooding had done damage or if he just got in a place where he couldn't get out of the way, but he was hit by the train and he passed away. And I miss him. I miss him because he would check in about once a month and make sure that I was okay. And it was almost like we had switched roles. I was no longer the person supervising him. He was the person who was calling me to give me a little bit of sunshine and hope. And it also helped give him stability to do that. And I appreciated that he did that, and he knew that. And I miss those calls. I miss them every freaking day. So if you have a parole officer, know that they are a human, and know that most parole officers, we know you're humans, and we do get attached to you. I have a bird for everyone that passed away while they were on my caseload. I remember them all, and I will tell you that the most I learned about life, I learned from somebody that spent over 20 years incarcerated for murder. He came out a changed man and taught me more about life than I've ever learned from anyone else. Not lying. I had to watch him go through cancer 3 times. The last time it was metastatic, and I watched him die at home. And I tried and begged the state to let him off paper before he passed away because he was no longer a harm, and I just wanted him to die free. I didn't want him to think that paper was still over him, and they would not allow me to do that. And I learned more about how to be a person from watching that man through his battles and how he restructured and recreated his life than I've learned from anybody. So don't discredit the people that you see in authority figures, you know, in authority positions sometimes. Sometimes they have to be hard-nosed to get you in a good place. And sometimes they have to test you out before they can build a rapport with you so that you can go through this journey with them. Don't underestimate your officers. They're humans, and they really do care. But we're often sarcastic and quick-witted, and we have really sharp tongues. But it's part of the job.